Imagine living your life after 50 and feeling energized and excited about your future. Welcome to the Women in the Middle podcast, the podcast for women who are ready to figure out what they want and create the life they deserve. Here's your host and Master Certified Life Coach, Susie Rosenstein.
Hey there, today we're talking about what the science of happiness after 50 can mean for you in your next chapter. Let's go. Welcome back to the podcast Women in the Middle. I'm your host, Susie Rosenstein, your Master Certified Coach and Midlife Mentor, and I am so glad to be here with you again. Now, as you probably know, I help women just like you stop living like time doesn't matter, because it does. Today's episode is extra special because we're looking at what decades of happiness research can teach us about living a fuller, more joyful life after 50. And, spoiler alert, it's never too late to feel happier. Did you know that there is a scientific reason midlife can feel like a roller coaster and that it doesn't have to stay that way? In fact, the research shows the happiest years of your life might still be ahead of you. Yes, even after 50. I have to admit, when I first heard this, I was a little bit surprised. It can be pretty bumpy out there, my friend. Today, we're diving into what the science says about happiness for women our age and how you can use it to rewrite your next chapter. Let's start with a myth that many of us secretly believe, that happiness peaks when we're young and then slowly fades as the years go by. So think about it. You may not even be aware of how ingrained this is in your brain. The most obvious understanding of this myth probably has to do with your looks, your appearance, and that you're happier when you look younger. Right? That looking younger is better. You feel more uplifted, that sort of thing. Then another common one pops up later in life when you may think about what exciting possibilities are still left for you out there in the world because you likely believe that the most exciting stuff happened already. Anyway, this myth about happiness peaking when we're young is alive and well, and it turns out that science says, nope, that's not true. They call it the U-curve of happiness. Here's the thing. In reality, life satisfaction tends to dip in midlife, often right around our 40s and 50s. No big surprise, though, right? And then it rises again as we age. Now, that's the part that is a bit of a surprise to many, and it was to me, too. I think that's really fascinating. So what's going on? When it comes to women, that dip can be even more noticeable. As you know, there's a lot of juggling going on, what with things like caregiving, careers, health changes, empty nests, menopause, all the things. It's a lot. No wonder it feels like midlife might be a downhill slide to the finish line sometimes. But here's the good news. The curve goes back up. Now, I wanted to add a quick note. Recent global studies have shown a bit of a change to the U-curve shape, but at the youth side, not our side, not the older age side. Young people aren't as happy as they have been. So this decline in happiness has flattened out the traditional U-shape. But our side of the curve going up hasn't seen this kind of change. So how can you apply this to your life? Well, that has to do with your thoughts. You have the opportunity to become aware of the way you think about the myth and also practice thinking about the research findings more often, that midlife is a turning point, not the end of the story. So relationships are another big deal when it comes to happiness. Now, if you've been around for a while, you know I love the Harvard study of adult development. It's the longest running study on happiness in history, over 80 years following people's lives. So what did they find? Well, it wasn't about money or status or fame. The single biggest predictor of happiness and health was, drumroll please, the quality of your relationships. One of the researchers, Robert Waldinger, director of Harvard Study of Adult Development, put it this way, and I quote, "Loneliness kills. It's as powerful as smoking or alcoholism." He also said that, quote, "Good relationships don't just protect our hearts, they protect our brains." Now, you can definitely apply this to your life. Think about that for a second. At our age, friendships, family ties, community connections, They matter more than ever. Yet so many women over 50 find themselves isolated, busy, or just running on autopilot. The research is crystal clear. Warm, reliable relationships are super powerful. I guess you could think of them kind of like happiness superfuel for your soul. So ask yourself, what can you do to amp up the quality of your relationships in your life? Really important question. Okay, so relationships are huge, but so is something else we often ignore: our stress levels and sleep. I have definitely been talking about this more and more in the podcast because I'm also working on it, so it is top of mind. Now, more than half of perimenopausal women report sleeping less than 7 hours a night. And here's a big one: women who felt less stressed were 6 times happier than those with high stress in one major midlife study. So yes, those racing thoughts in the middle of the night aren't just annoying. They are directly affecting your mood, your health, and your happiness. So again, what can you do with this information? Well, what I love about this research is that it tells us something simple. Small shifts in sleep, stress management, and self-care can have a huge impact on how we feel day to day. Again, start with awareness and notice what areas you can start to work on to make some improvement. Here's another fascinating thing that the researchers have found. As people age, we tend to focus more on what matters most. Now, you may have started to notice this about yourself. You may be thinking about how you can leave a legacy, or perhaps you're frustrated at work because things seem more annoying than meaningful. You may be asking yourself how you can find more meaning in your life, or maybe you're realizing that your priorities are out of whack. Here are some interesting key points on this topic. First, older adults often show a positivity bias. They remember good moments more vividly than bad ones. Second, emotional regulation improves. We get better at letting go of drama as we age. And third, as I mentioned, meaning, legacy, and purpose start to rise to the top of our priorities. Have you started to notice that yourself? So, as a midlife coach, I talk to a lot of midlife gals over 50. My clients are craving way more intention and way more meaning and feel ready to kick off their next chapter with this in mind. Midlife can start to feel more like a beginning this way, and that is way more fun. So, my friend, here's why this is so important and matters to you now. This isn't just about feeling good in the moment. It is bigger than that. Happier people live longer. They recover faster from illness. They stay more socially connected. Happiness in midlife sets the stage for how we experience aging itself. So ask yourself, what if the best years of your happiness are still ahead, but only if you decide to invest in them, to focus on them, to embrace them this way? You see what I'm saying? You got to be aware of it, and you have to make a decision about it. So now you might be thinking, okay, Susie, the research makes sense, but how do I actually do this in real life? Where do I start? Well, I'm so glad you asked. I gave you a couple of ideas in the episode already, but there's more because this was bugging me too, and I wanted to do something to help. This is exactly why I created the Midlife Happiness Jumpstart Experience. It's a 14-day science-backed experience designed for midlife women who want to feel better fast, without needing to completely overhaul their whole lives. Each day, you're going to get a tiny, doable action proven by research to boost happiness. It is simple, practical, and fun. So if you're ready to stop waiting for happiness to just magically appear and start building it one small step at a time, please join us. Just go to www.susierosenstein.com and click on the Shop tab, and you're going to see when the next Midlife Happiness Jumpstart begins. You can sign up there so we can jumpstart your happiness together. Okay, so to wrap up, today we learned that happiness isn't random. It's influenced by relationships, stress, health, meaning, and yes, age itself. The science shows midlife can be a powerful turning point toward more joy, not less. Believe it or not, more joy. So join the Happiness Jumpstart today on my website at www.susierosenstein.com. Again, just click that Shop tab and let's make this next chapter your happiest yet. That's it for this episode. My focus as your regret-proofing midlife coach is to help you waste less valuable time and get on with the good stuff. Remember, being the queen of your brain domain is the best way to be. My friend, it is time to stop waiting for the right moment and start creating the happiness, excitement, joy, and fulfillment that you crave. For show notes and links, go to www.susierosenstein.com and click on the podcast tab and look for episode 427. You're also going to see a link there for my other show, The Women in the Middle Entrepreneurs, which is all about the reality of running your business when you're a midlife gal. It's also on iTunes, Spotify, and all the podcast places. Let's do this, ladies. It's time for you to put yourself first, one thought at a time. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll talk to you next week.